Now, you remember how it began as just a whisper of a suggestion, a conspiracy theory that the coronavirus didn't come from a wet market in China, but from a bioweaponry lab in Wuhan in that country. That was only a conspiracy theory. Now it's become a full-fledged probe by the United States. And now in this India Today exclusive, you're going to see how the Modi government's National Security Council has also launched an internal probe into the origins of the coronavirus, which means Indian experts and scientists could potentially find the truth and embarrass China in front of the world. Did the novel coronavirus escape from this Chinese laboratory in Wuhan? Once just a whisper of conspiracy, the theory is now the subject of a full-fledged probe by the United States. And now, in an explosive new development, India Today has learned that India's very own national security setup has started a comprehensive internal assessment of the origin of the novel coronavirus. And the assessment very much includes the possibility that the virus escaped from a Chinese laboratory in Wuhan. India launched its assessment of COVID-19 in March, well ahead of the Trump administration's decision to launch a full-fledged hunt for viral origins. The Indian assessment covers all aspects, including viral origins, and is going with three possibilities. Other than a natural infection, the possibilities being looked at are a biological warfare experiment and a vaccine experiment gone wrong. With India publicly junking Chinese rapid test kits, relations are already delicate. Whether India's viral origin assessment expands into a full-fledged probe is unclear at this time. The diplomatic fallout of such probes is already quaking through the region though. China and Australia are locked in an ugly diplomatic collision after Australia has not only called for Chinese transparency in the origins of coronavirus, but also an independent probe.
Well, I think such an inquiry is important, and we can respectfully have a difference of view from that's been put by China. The virus began in China, in Wuhan. That's, I think, well understood. It's important for public health globally that there is a transparency in the way that you can get access to this important information early. So it's not pursued as an issue of criticism. It's pursued as an issue of importance for public health.
The so-called independent investigation proposed by Australia is virtually political manipulation, which is unpopular and disrupts international cooperation in the epidemic prevention. At this critical moment, it is quite irresponsible to make unfounded, suspicious and unwarranted accusations for political purpose. We admonish Australia, cast away ideological prejudice and political manipulation, genuinely focus on the well-being of the Australian people and the public health and safety of people around the world.
The China-Australia face-off is being monitored very closely by India. While the Modi government has so far focused on containing the spread, could India's strategic interests look to corner China on an issue that has bled the world? The most obvious question is, will India convert the National Security Council's internal assessment into a full-fledged official probe? Could India's Foreign Office join the global call for Chinese transparency on viral origins? And what will the impact be on diplomatic relations? With the world's gaze now fixed on this virology lab in Wuhan, the question is, can an increasingly isolated China be forced to stop covering up and speak the truth? Bureau Report, India Today. Very important to remember that the National Security Council of India has launched an internal assessment of the origins of the coronavirus, but this isn't yet a government-level probe, official probe at the highest levels, which is why China cannot react just yet the same way that it has reacted to what Australia is doing. But let's just take you through some of the other conspiracy theories. And remember, India's assessment is not ruling out any aspect of it. One of the possibilities is, and this is something that has gained traction, is a bioweapon created artificially by China. Now, this particular theory has been debunked by most experts. They don't believe that this is an artificial, infectious agent, but an actual virus from nature. Another theory is that this was created by big pharma. This entire mess has been created by big pharmaceutical companies in China. The other theory is that it was created by American scientists, possibly even caused by 5G technology. Now, there are multiple categories of bioterror. Remember, if this indeed leaked from a Chinese laboratory, then bioterror agents is something that's going to be under consideration even by the Indian National Security Council assessments. We'll go one by one to show you what the categories are. One, that pose the highest threat to national security. Two, can be easily transmitted from person to person. This is what bioterror agents are. Three, they result in a much higher mortality rate. Four, they have the potential to cause panic and social disruption. For example, anthrax, Ebola, hantavirus and dengue. Is this a bioterror agent? Most experts believe that's not the case. They believe that it's possible that this actually escaped from a virology lab and it wasn't as simple as somebody getting infected at a Wuhan wet market. The category C of bioterror agents is emerging pathogens that can be engineered for mass dissemination. Was China tinkering with stuff in the laboratory when things actually went wrong? Another aspect of this is these are easily produced and disseminated. That may explain the high infectious potential of such agents. Potential for very high morbidity. Remember, more than 200,000 people have already lost their lives. For example, MERS, SARS, Nipah, tuberculosis are all infectious agents as well. Okay, so now I want to bring in India Today's Govt Sawant, who's been tracking the story very closely. Gaurav, the United States has launched a full-fledged probe into the origins of the coronavirus on the suspicion that it came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Australia has, attracted a scathing attack from China after calling from an independent probe of a similar kind. And now we know in this explosive twist, Gaurav, that India's National Security Council is also not ruling out the possibility that the virus came from a lab. Tell us more, Gaurav.
Shiv, this is a fact-finding exercise. The National Security Council is the apex body when it comes to national security issues.
Yes.
It's thinking, the effort is to find out what exactly is the coronavirus, how is it affecting people across the world and India, what are steps that India needs to take. And while this process of assessment is currently underway, one of the aspects under investigation is whether this is a lab virus, whether it's a weapon, a bioweapon used by China against various countries in the world, including India. So this at this point of time is only an assessment, only a fact-finding exercise. It's not yet an official Government of India probe, as you told our viewers, but there is tremendous interest, and not just in India, but across the world, Shiv, to know the truth. Was the aim to let loose a virus and bring economies and countries down to their knees? Was this the intention? Now, US President Donald Trump at his level says China needs to come clean. UK said that, France has said that, India, of course, wants the truth to come out. You've mentioned Australia, and China may react angrily, but the world wants China to come clean. Now, this assessment is still at a very preliminary stage. There are colleges that are doing a study, there are scientists who are carrying out a study, and all of those studies are being collated before an informed opinion is formed by the Government of India, Shiv.
Thanks very much, Gaurav, for getting us the latest on that. So, will India expand this fact-finding mission by the National Security Council into a full-fledged probe into the origins? Remember, the Modi government's biggest priority right now is on containing the spread of the virus. Could this expand into a full-fledged probe? We'll have to wait and see, but China certainly can't be happy with these new revelations now. American journalist Joshua Phillip has been tracking down the origins of the Wuhan coronavirus independently. He's made the very first documentary on this pandemic. He investigates how the novel coronavirus did not originate in the Wuhan seafood market, which is just about 6.5 kilometers away from the virology laboratory. Now, even as the Modi government begins this internal assessment to find out whether the Chinese laboratory actually leaked the coronavirus infecting the world, and whether China is actually involved in a massive scale cover-up of the origins of the coronavirus. The country itself finds itself in the middle of a legal mess. 2 American states and several groups and individuals have sued Beijing, seeking billions, trillions perhaps, in damages. Their charge that China has hidden and continues to hide crucial information about the pandemic and has put the world in danger. The chorus to make China pay for the coronavirus crisis is only getting louder.
More than 30 lakh coronavirus cases across the world. Global death toll exceeding 2,10,000. As humanity battles one invisible enemy, the world is pointing fingers at China and demanding payback. Nations across the world are accusing Beijing of deceiving the public and suppressing critical information about the spread of COVID-19. And this time, countries are taking the legal route to make China pay. The loudest demand is from the United States.
We have a lot of discussions going on with China. Let me just put it this way. I'm not happy, okay? I'm not happy. And I spoke to them, and this could have been shut down a long time ago.
At least 3 American states have now filed actual lawsuits against China. Missouri was the first US state to sue China, alleging that Beijing has caused irreparable damage to countries globally. Mississippi, too, has announced plans to file a lawsuit against China over its response to the novel coronavirus outbreak. The state's Attorney General, Lynn Fitch, said that China must not be allowed to act with impunity.
They're directly responsible for, the untold human suffering, the loss of life, and the economic damage. And so we brought suit against the Chinese government for their role in concealing the coronavirus. They were destroying evidence, silencing critics, silencing whistleblowers. This is all about getting to the truth and making sure that they're held accountable.
The Berman Law Group has also filed a lawsuit in South Florida seeking billions in damages. A $20 trillion lawsuit has been filed by American lawyer Larry Klayman and his advocacy group Freedom Watch, along with Texas company Bus Photos.
The damages so far to the American small businesses are in the billions, probably the hundreds of billions of dollars at this point.
One of Germany's largest newspapers, Bild, has made out an unusual invoice. The daily has billed China for the money it owed Berlin in coronavirus damages. Bild has drawn up an itemized invoice with €27 billion charge for lost tourism revenue between March and April, up to $7.2 billion for the German film industry, €1 million an hour for German airline Lufthansa, and $50 billion for German small businesses. That makes a grand total of €149 billion. Bild reckons that it's about €1,784 per person if Germany's GDP falls by 4.2%. A think tank is seeking global solidarity to sue China for $6.5 trillion for covering up coronavirus. As the chorus to make China pay grows, Beijing has called the claims absurd.
这种所谓的控告毫无事实和法律依据。
This so-called accusation has no factual and legal basis and is nothing short of absurdity. Since the coronavirus epidemic, China has been acting in a transparent manner to timely inform the WHO and relevant countries and regions of the epidemic situation, share the genome sequence with other countries, actively respond to the concerns of all parties and strengthen cooperation with the international community. The so-called lawsuit is an abuse of litigation which violates basic legal principles.
有违基本法理。
These numbers seem astronomical right now, but this is payback being demanded from a world that is wounded almost like never before. The question is, will China be made to pay? Bureau Report, India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.